Hey, how's it going, everyone? So, I wanted to share with you a concept that has really been transformative for me, especially of late. It's something that I hadn't really conceptualized before until I had a conversation with someone close to me. And having thought through this concept, it's really made an impact in my life, my relationships, and it's helped me understand a lot of other people's hurts that they go through because of how other people treat them, or sometimes how even they look at or treat themselves. And that concept is shaming. And the idea behind the hurts with shaming is something that can stem back all the way into childhood, where either maybe through parents or friends or peers, someone is put down and hurt and looked down on and criticized because of something that is about that person that's not necessarily harmful to someone else. And so I just want to be extra clear there. There's a difference between shaming in terms of an ethics where you're shaming someone for doing something harmful to somebody else. Obviously, if someone stabs somebody or punches somebody out of nowhere or takes somebody else's stuff, there's a shame element there that is healthy and appropriate because it initiates violence against other people. But the idea of shaming someone for something that they enjoy or for nuances of mannerisms or personalities or for being even silly or goofy or dancing or whatever, that concept of shaming really comes into play in childhood and can lead people to feel long-term hurts. They are afraid to do things or anxious to do things because of shame that was put on them through criticism, most often, spoken criticism, um, often stemming from childhood. And one of the ways that I think is really important for people to help break those kinds of bonds of shaming, that is psychological bonds, is to forgive those people who have shamed them in the past. You may not be able to do that physically, but the idea of saying, okay, I was criticized or hurt in the past or made fun of or poked at because of something about myself that really wasn't doing anything to anyone. Maybe, and I think this is a great example that someone had given me once, was that he regrettably had shamed his son. He made fun of his child who was doing this goofy dance, and there wasn't anything wrong with it. It was just the kid was being silly, and because the parent poked fun at his child, the child stopped, and the person couldn't get their child to act goofy and free again because the child felt shamed for their actions. And so the first step for a lot of people of breaking these kinds of bonds of shame is to forgive those who have shamed them in the past. To say, okay, you know what, that was on them. They're criticizing me, putting me down, or in your case, maybe you had put somebody else down in the past. You have to let that go. You have to give that kind of forgiveness to yourself and to other people. And the next part to that, after you've done that, is to think about how you may, in some ways, either be holding on to shame still, or how you might still be shaming others. In other words, making fun of, criticizing, or putting down others based on something that doesn't involve actual harm toward other people. Again, difference between being shamed for, hey, this person's being violent towards somebody, this person's stealing, or this person's constantly trying to say malicious things about somebody, and spreading lies, things where you're trying to hurt somebody intentionally. Those things obviously have a type of healthy shame, but where people have been shamed for just being themselves basically, or enjoying things, that kind of shame is the shame I'm talking about in terms of giving forgiveness and thinking about what one is afraid of or anxious about because maybe they've held on to shame. And so I would say, from what I've seen, that's actually a big component of a lot of people's issues in terms of personal growth, is shame, and that shame leading to fear. Being afraid to do things or to be expressive or to challenge things and be creative, and to move forward in their lives because they were shamed about trying to do those things, about trying to grow, about trying to enjoy life and just feel free and feel relaxed. Um, and for me, I think I've done that in my own life, and I've done it to others. And I'm really sad about that because I didn't understand it and know better. Um, but I'm very happy and fortunate to have had some really good experiences looking at my own life and saying, wow, what have I been doing to others that's been shaming? And again, shaming specifically, not shaming somebody, say, hey, that's wrong that you know, hit somebody or stole something. We're talking about shaming where it's just like making fun of someone for one's, you know, insecurities, you know, doing things to critique somebody else and put them down, when what they're doing is, you know, not hurting anybody. You don't, it's just not necessary. You don't need to put somebody down. Even if you don't enjoy maybe what it is they're doing, it's not like your thing. You don't have to put somebody else down or shame them. um, you can just let be what's be. And again, it could be as simple as a little kid just being goofy and dancing, or it could be someone really enjoys a certain hobby and you make fun of them for it, or it could be, you know, someone wants to dress a certain way, again, not hurting anybody, and you know, putting them down, shaming them. And I think that, you know, that kind of example is definitely something that is experienced, I'd say, a lot by women. You know, experiences of being shamed as a child, or maybe shamed by parents. But again, there are many different types of shame that someone could experience, especially leading from childhood into adulthood, that hasn't been overcome. And a lot of people live on those fears and those shames, and it restricts them from being able to enjoy life because they've been so inculcated into that culture and mentality of shaming that either they are bunched up and afraid to do things or to explore and try new things, or they repeat the cycle and they shame others for feeling free and feeling happy, being goofy, or you know, whatever, because they don't know any better. And so it was such a powerful thing to think through and work through for me, especially with these past, I'd say, maybe 6 months, that I thought I'd share that with you. And there's a book below that was shared with me by a very special person that I think is probably worth taking a look if you've ever felt like, you know, I really have all these insecurities or hurts, and I feel like really ashamed of actions, or really anxious about things, or feel fearful to do or try things. Um, you know, and that might stem from something that, you know, happened when you were younger, you know, being a kid. I recommend the book that's listed down below. That's called Healing the Child Within. I think it's pretty powerful to thinking about how it is that you may have allowed, maybe accidentally, inadvertently, or just by nature you just accepted it, didn't know any better, but allowed shame and ultimately fear to creep into your life, or to be absorbed in your life, um, from when you were very young, and in a lot of ways destructively, you know, kind of control uh, the things that you're willing to test and try and be happy about and be satisfied about. So just take a look at that and let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to you all later.